Welcome back to Coffee with Yvonne, a show for creators and entrepreneurs. I'm Yvonne Pearson, your host and the founder of Pink Dollhouse Marketing. I don't know why I whispered that. I don't know. Anyway, that's not why we're here. We are here this week to do another Marketing Magic episode. And I know last week was all about the Met Gala and all the cutesy things behind the campaign. But this week we're going back to our regularly scheduled programming to talk all about campaigns that may have entered your social media feed or that you could have seen like on your timeline or just talking about in general and breaking down the marketing strategies behind them. What I love about doing these Marketing Magic episodes, y'all, it allows me to put on my nerdy marketing hats and talk all about the things that I love, from strategies to concepts to ideas, things you don't even really think about when it comes to marketing. So, for all of you who are new here, if you see me looking down at my screen at any time, I always bring notes to the conversation to make sure we're having an informed and engaged chat. All right, so this week, up on the docket, we're going to be talking about Rihanna's Courtside strategy with her deal with the WNBA, Kai Cenat Streamer University that's going to shape the next generation of content creators. We're also going to talk about Lunchables and their newest rap. You heard that right. Rap that went along with their latest campaign. And then last but not least, Lyft's new initiative to empower seniors to live more independent lives on their rideshare app. So grab your coffee and let's chat. By the way, there's no coffee in here like last week. At the time of recording, it's Mother's Day weekend, so I was out all day with my mama. So I'm recording a little later than usual, which is fine. But since I'm recording later than usual, I didn't do coffee. I did green juice. Yeah, it's good for your skin. It really is. Anyway, let's get into these topics, shall we? First up, let's talk about Riri and that courtside strategy with the WNBA. First of all, Miss Ma'am, I love to see it. I love to see it. Riri has been collecting her coins and doing the things since, when did she come on the scene? What year was I in high school? That was around 2000. I'm not saying it out loud. Don't do the math. But she came onto the scene when I was in high school. That's when Pawn the Replay came out, if y'all remember that song. And Riri has been so strategic and smart about not only building her personal brand, but also expanding her business portfolio to reflect not just her personal interests, but making sure she's building, I hate this word, but an empire that would not only be sustainable, but impactful. So, this article came from Adweek. And if you're unfamiliar with Adweek is kind of like, for us marketers, comms, and ad girlies, it's kind of like our insider news, right? So you know how you watch the news in the morning and they give you a breakdown of a story? That's what Adweek does for us in the industry. It gives us high-level insights about campaigns, things we should be knowing, just keeping us like ear to the ground of what's happening in the industry. So let's read an excerpt from the article. Fresh off their appearance at the Met Gala, which we just talked about last week, the 2024 WNBA champions New York Liberty just added Rihanna's Fenty Beauty and Fenty Skin to their team. While Fenty founder and CEO Rihanna had her own business to announce at the Met Gala, she announced she's having another baby with A$AP Rocky. That was the news. This follow-up marks Fenty's first sports marketing partnership with the WNBA team. Fenty previously sponsored a party at the 2024 WNBA All-Star Weekend in Phoenix and also sponsored athletes during the 2024 Paris Olympics and the Paralympics. Now see, that's what I mean by marketing with intention. Let's talk about those two things before we get into our marketing takeaways. Not only has Fenty supported women's sports before this big brand deal partnership, which is a big deal, considering the amount of visibility and attention the WNBA has recently gotten with like Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark. I think Ajay Wilson is another person who's making waves in the sports scene at the moment. It is so important to make sure when you're doing these brand partnerships that they're strategic, but they also make sense. And you don't just look like you just popped onto the scene supporting a team, business, or brand, right? You want to make sure it ties back into your overall strategic goals. And for those who don't know, strategic goals are essentially the core of an organization's initiatives for that year or their objectives overall as a business. And usually a CEO, a board, trustees come up with those strategic goals. And whatever you do for those strategic goals for the year are your core initiative framework for how you build out everything else for the business for the remainder of the year. Tying this back into Fenty, Fenty ties into the WNBA beautifully. Before we get into the marketing takeaways from this partnership, let's talk about it. For Fenty, when it came onto the scene, disrupted the beauty industry already. And it shouldn't have taken this long, but Fenty rolled out so many shades and different variations and colors. And they started out with their deepest shade first and then went to their lighter shade. A lot of beauty brands have the habit of starting out with their lighter shade in promotion and then their deeper shade. And a lot of times, their deepest shade, girls, listeners, followers, was barely my beautiful skin tone that you see on the screen. I even struggle finding the right makeup because I'm in between two different skin tones. And they disrupted the beauty industry so much with their wide variety of shades. I think it was like over 50 different shades they offered. I could be wrong. But they started the trend of building inclusivity in beauty at a time frame in which beauty kind of was like, they have their own thing, but you really didn't see a lot of branding and marketing centered around Black women and women of color. Of course, being respectful to those trailblazers before, but Rihanna taking her business and making sure that there was purpose behind it with launching Fenty as an inclusive brand, not only just for women, but for beauty enthusiasts around the board. So thinking about these marketing takeaways for Fenty, this marks Fenty's first WNBA partnership, like we mentioned before. And doing this partnership with New York Liberty, it marks Fenty's deeper involvement in women's sports marketing. Just like with Fenty in building inclusive spaces, women's sports still has a lot of fight to do in order to be equal on the playing field as the NBA. For example, when it comes to things like salaries, the WNBA is not even getting a fraction of the salaries a lot of NBA players get in the league. Also, when it comes to partnerships, there's not a lot of, it's growing now, but there were not a lot of WNBA partnerships with these big stars who are hooping just as hard as the men are, right? And seeing that transition essentially with like the Caitlin Clarks, the Angel Reese, the AJ Wilsons or Jai Wilsons, and I apologize if I got your name wrong, my apologies. It is a shift now in which brands are now seeing, and it should have been seen a long time ago, but here we are. Brands are now seeing the value women's sports plays in building the brand visibility and driving sales for their business. Because when they're on the court, think about it. Things like their hair, their lashes, the nail color they may choose to wear, the earrings, this, that, and the other. They are walking billboards for these companies. And it's not until recently businesses like Coach have got on board. Now that we have Fenty on board and others who are now understanding the value of women's sports, there's so much money that could have been made a very long time ago from these partnerships. Another thing that I love too, the Fenty team plans to not only work with the WNBA team, but also their very popular mascot, Ellie. Now, Ellie is T. Ellie is that girl. And if you have ever seen Ellie, follow her on social media because I love this mascot. I really do. But Ellie the elephant has her own personality of her own. She is an extension of the team, of course, as the mascot, but Ellie has now built her own fan base. And so leveraging Ellie as part of the Fenty campaign makes a lot of sense because it'll, again, help build brand visibility for the product as well as fan engagement. Then let's think about things like branded team apparel. Fenty Beauty can also, or it's planning to place their logos on team apparel like the warm-up jackets, shooting shirts, as well as in-game activations that will blend fashion with sports. Again, seeing those opportunities with that low-hanging fruit to build visibility. Essentially, what Fenty Beauty is doing is being a walking commercial for each one of these games. Because the more you have your logo seen, the more you have that brand visibility, the more you have people curious about what that brand represents. And then also, too, let's talk about the media value. The WNBA, as we know, is televised. But then let's think about the media value in terms of the media outlets that cover the games. Let's think about things like, the post-game wrap up. I don't watch the sports. But like the post-game wrap-ups in which they may be wearing the Fenty logo on their jersey. Or if they have the step and repeat behind them where you have like the backdrop with the logos, most likely Fenty Beauty is going to be up there as well as one of the key sponsors. It just makes a lot of sense, and it'll give the team a chance to repackage all of that content into their media kit, as well as leverage it for additional things that can be used for additional brand partnerships to talk about the value of what they bring to the table. Then let's scroll down to continued beauty collaborations. So the team, the Liberty, has a history of partnerships with beauty brands that include Heroes Cosmetics in 2022, NYX in 2023, and a nail polish partnership. See, remember I mentioned about nails? A nail polish partnership with Essie, which featured Ellie as the brand's celebrity spokesperson. And then more importantly, it's that strategic timing. So this partnership coincides with a key preseason and also season opener games, which will maximize exposure and fan interest. Again, it's that media value. So we have the preseason. So the preseason, after they've done the draft, is so important because now you're introducing these new players that people have been following either their college careers or something like that, or on social media, who are now a part of the team. And seeing that will allow them to be introduced as Fenty brand ambassadors. So when they come out, they'll have the Fenty logo or something associated with Fenty. This is just what I'm seeing in my head. Then let's think about the social media content rollout, right? So it could be, and this is just, again, me thinking off the top of my head, it could be a WNBA draft kind of commercial or content, right? And they're sitting there and they're waiting to see if they make the Fenty team, the Fenty Beauty team. And so in doing so, you have Rihanna up there announcing the draft picks. And they each get, instead of a jersey, they get a Fenty, the gloss, Fenty gloss, or a Fenty, like the bronzer, or the skincare, or something like that. Something that welcomes them as a new member of the team. Then at the end of the commercial, it could be your 2025 WNBA Fenty team coming to a court near you or something like that. Or the tagline could be join us courtside, hashtag Fenty Beauty or Fenty Hoops or something like that. That could be like a good hashtag for the campaign. There's so much that can be done with this partnership. And I'm really excited to see what Fenty Beauty does with this, even if it's just something as simple as creating a specially curated WNBA beauty campaign, leveraging things like the basketball and like the merchandise, the look and feel, even if it's like a big basketball, right? And inside the basketball could be branded with Fenty Beauty, co-branded Fenty Beauty and the Liberty. And then inside of the basketball, along the seams, is probably like a zipper where it opens. You open it up and there's this beauty package, perfectly packaged with limited edition items, including Ellie's picks. So each basketball could represent a beauty pick from the top players on the team. Then you can sell that collection in collaboration, either exclusively online, direct to consumer, or you could partner with like a Sephora or something like that, or thinking strategically, have those beauty products specifically and exclusively at the WNBA home games for the Liberty team. Those are just some things that I think about off the top of my head. So thank you for your patience while I like spitballed. But essentially, to wrap it up with a big bow, this is a great opportunity for the Fenty team, and I cannot wait to see what they do with this partnership. Okay, in our next story, we're going to talk about Lunchables. And for those of my elder millennials out there, let's go down memory lane, shall we? Remember when your mama, She may not have had time to fully pack your lunch, but there was always a Lunchable in the refrigerator. So she just slid that in your lunchbox, maybe like a bag of chips and like a Huggies or a Capri Sun or something. That Lunchables. So Lunchables, and this came from Food Beast, Lunchables is launching and has launched a new product. And reading an excerpt from the article, Lunchables PB&J is coming for the Uncrustables throne with its first ever dippable, no-thaw, crustless PB&J sandwich. The new on-the-go snack remixes the classic PB&J into a crustless peanut butter stuffed pocket designed for dipping. Oh, that's cute. That's like a purse snack. Yeah. Anyway, continue from the excerpt from the article. Each pack includes 2 sandwiches and a side of grape or strawberry flavored dip. Basically, think Uncrustables style pocket Sammy, but with dipability. However, unlike Uncrustables, Lunchables PB&J is ready to eat straight from the fridge. Now, see, I like that kind of convenience because the way my life is set up sometimes, I don't have time. I carry a purse snack everywhere I go. And that purse snack will keep me sustained sometime until I can get some real food. Because you don't want hangry, Yvonne. You don't. You don't. But anyway, let's talk about those marketing takeaways, okay? First, let's talk about the product innovation with interactive elements. So, Lunchables is introducing a new product, right? Let me put my coffee down while I talk. Lunchables is introducing a new product, this crustless peanut butter sandwich accompanied by that separate dip of either strawberry or grape jelly. I'm team strawberry, by the way. I just don't like grape jelly. I don't like it, y'all. I just don't. I'm sorry. But this design allows for children or adults to control the amount of jelly they use and adds an interactive and fun element. And also the product is ready to eat straight from the refrigerator. So think those moms who are in a rush. Think those, the aunties who have their nieces and nephews over and just trying to figure out something to feed these kids with until it's dinner time. By that having a product that's ready to eat from the fridge and it does not require thawing, it makes it so much easier, so much more convenient for parents or adults with children to put it in their lunchboxes or have it as a snack. Then, let's talk about leveraging nostalgia for pop culture. So, to promote the new product, the Lunchables team did something a little different, and I love this for them. By the way, we're going to do a first listen together, okay? Okay. They partnered with, you ready? Lil Jon, Lil Jon and Twista to remix the 2002 viral hit Peanut Butter Jelly Time. I lie to you not. They released a whole song from Peanut Butter Jelly Time, remixing it for today's era. And I love this because the strategy taps into nostalgia, which is something millennials love, appealing to millennial parents or adults alike who remember the original song. And it also engages their children through contemporary music and pop culture. Think things like Gracie's Corner. Gracie's Corner, which didn't they just drop a hit with Paul Wall? I think they did. But people like Gracie's Corner have the ability of remixing or putting cultural aspects into children-friendly songs. We all know Kids Bop, but sometimes you hear some Kids Bop songs, you're like, excuse me? You should not know. That's not for children. Even if you try to clean up the words, it's not for kids. But things like Gracie's Corner has become so popular that adults love leaving Gracie's Corner on and just letting their kids enjoy the show. So what PB&J or this product launch is doing, Lunchables is doing with this PB&J launch, is creating a song that's also kid-friendly that the kids can enjoy to listen to and also associate with the product. Remember when we were kids, you saw the jingles all the time, right? You saw jingles associated with products, with cereals, with all the things. And it was our way of memorizing it. So when we went to the store with our parents, we were like, oh, that's a thing, and start singing the song or whatever the catchphrase was or slogan associated with the product. So let's play the song. And mind you, my first time hearing it. We're going to react together, okay? All right. Please hold.
Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? There you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. Peanut butter jelly. Peanut butter jelly. Peanut butter jelly. Peanut butter jelly.
What time is it? PB&J, when they see me, they say that the song is legit. Tastes so great when it's dunked in the grape. Tell me what's your flavor? Strawberry dip? You can choose either because either one will do. Yes. Have to eat, I got something fun for you. I got the munchies, I need something munchable. What? Something tasty like a Lunchable. Telling you about it with a crazy flow. With the fruit dip, you control the ratio. Stay away from other prototypes. This right here is the perfect bite. Want something light before dinner time? Listen to it when I tell it with a steady rhyme. Better be the one that's ready when you go into the refrigerator when it's peanut butter jelly time.
Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time.
Wait a minute. Lunchables, come to the front and bring the whole marketing and production team with you, fam. You you did that. You did that. And if you can see the visuals, it is legit a triangle PB&J sandwich dancing on the screen. It's so good. It's so good. Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I did not have Twisted and Lil Jon rubbing the PB&J on my bingo card. Oh my gosh. So, okay, let's get back to the show. Okay, so they released a song. Give me a second. Okay. Okay, sorry. We're back and we're professional. So they released a peanut butter jelly song, remixing a popular 2002 song, and you just heard it. If you want to see the full video, it's on Spotify. If you want to hear the full song, it's on Spotify. The full video is on YouTube. But definitely a very smart and strategic move by the Lunchables team. They even describe how you eat the snack in the song. So let's move into our last 2 points for the marketing takeaways. Let's talk about strategic positioning against competitors. The new PB&J sandwich positions Lunchables as a direct competitor to Uncrustables by offering a similar, convenient, ready-to-eat product with a unique twist, like I mentioned, an interactive jelly dip. This differentiation aims to capture market share by providing a novel experience in a familiar product category. And differentiation, for those of you who are unaware, is essentially we have a product that is similar to another product. We have just a small adjustment that makes that product different. So in this case, the Lunchables team has a product that is ready to eat with a dip. Uncrustables needs to be cooked. It has no dip. Two very similar products, but the differentiation, ready to eat and dip versus need to cook, right? And then the last takeaway, targeting both children and parents. The campaign effectively targets children through the fun, interactive nature of the product and the engaging music collaboration, while also appealing to parents by offering a convenient, ready-to-eat lunch option. So this dual targeting approach broadens the product's appeal and market reach. I really do see this product becoming more popular, honestly, with adults. Just thinking about it, adults love convenience too, especially having busy lives. And knowing that you can have something that's quick, easy, and then you don't have to think about, again, snacks. I can see adults becoming one of the leading markets behind this product. Of course, it's targeted to kids. The kids are going to love it. But adults, that they're not going to be too far behind in terms of that market share. Okay, in our next story, we're going to talk about Kai Cenat and his Streamer University, which is going to help shape the next generation of content creators. So I got this story on Because of Them We Can. And Because of Them We Can, if you have not followed them on social media, is a really great platform that uplifts and amplifies inclusive storytelling of small businesses, about history history makers, and change makers in various industries. So Kai Cenat announced on his IG to his 14 plus million followers. You heard that right. 14 plus million followers on Instagram alone, that he's going to be creating this streamer university. Pulling an excerpt from the article, he's excited. He says he's excited to extend to you a most heartfelt welcome to the very first class of Streamer University. He said in the video, "Here you will find a school where chaos is encouraged and content is king. I look forward to seeing you all on campus for our first ever semester." And also, he also was strategic too. In his announcement on IG, he did a really great interactive video that was a la Harry Potter. I thought it was really cute, but he put his own spin to it, which was really a lot of fun. Continuing on with the blurb from the article, Cenat is opening up an opportunity for creators of all kinds. Students will live on a college campus, they'll collaborate with peers, and learn from industry leaders while building their own brands. According to the program's website, participants will take workshops in business, music, production, film, and acting, and more, with the goal of helping both new and rising creators sharpen their skills and expand their networks. Now, let's get into those marketing takeaways, because this is something that, in private conversations, I've said is definitely needed in the content creator space. I have said before how content creation is an extension of marketing. It is marketing. But content creation and storytelling is something that has so much opportunity to continue building. But for those who are entering the space without a marketing background, they still need those foundational principles to help them get ahead. It's not just about going viral. It's about longevity and understanding the business behind what you're doing. Understanding that your content needs to have legs, not just for a fun moment that has splash across channels, but that you are going to be here to stay and the money will continue going even after that viral moment has dried up. So getting into those marketing takeaways. First one's up. Let's talk about it being an influencer-led education initiative. Kai is a prominent figure in live streaming. He has launched Streaming University, which will be a fully funded program aimed at inspiring and empowering content creators. Kai is really big on Twitch. And Twitch is like a live stream platform for gamers. But Kai has really transformed the way people think about Twitch in recent years. Not only is he normally gaming on this platform, but he's also engaging with his followers. He brings special guests on, like he had, I believe, Kevin Hart as one of his special guests. And I think he also had like Chris Brown and others stop by his live streams. He also has broken records in the streaming space on Twitch and continues to be very influential in that area. So it makes sense for him to lean into this of creating space for those who want to follow in his footsteps, especially considering Gen Z and Gen Alpha is a digitally raised generation, meaning they have never not grown up without internet or devices. So learning from someone who's actually been very successful at doing this is a smart move, because now they can have the foundational practices to be successful or successful in their own right when it comes to content creation. Then let's look at the comprehensive curriculum. The program offers workshops, like I mentioned, in various fields that include things like business, film, and acting. This is showing, like I shared with you, a holistic approach to content creation. Creating content, y'all, is more than just pressing record on your phone and hoping that you get something out of it. A lot of times people plan out their content weeks, sometimes months in advance, if they are full-time content creators, or if they have, a platform which you're consistently pushing out messaging. Similar to my personal platform on TikTok, I promote my podcast. I promote, things around marketing topics, things that we don't talk about on the show or in my newsletter. And then I have parts of my life like I share a little bit behind the scenes with. That, while it is not planned, if I were to actually plan out my content, would sometimes take weeks in advance to do. Now, I do things at times where I will film content and pre-schedule it, but plan out a months in advance calendar, I know people who are full-time content creators, and it is a job thinking through what you're going to talk about to your audience, especially when you have things like brand deals attached to your content. You have to make sure that your content is meeting the needs of your client or your partner before it goes live. And sometimes that requires multiple takes. Sometimes it requires hiring a video crew or videographer to make sure you get the right content and the right edits. It is a lot of work. And for kids to understand, and not just kids, but those who are just aspiring in this industry, to understand that it is a job and a job you should take seriously if you want to be successful at it, giving them a foundation that they need to build strategically is very important. We're going to go into the immersive learning environment. So by having them live on a college campus, it really immerses them in the whole college experience. It's not just them attending a workshop, which, no shade, workshops are great, but when you're on a college campus, you're essentially in a hub that is focused on learning. And by being on a college campus, these participants can then really engage with people who are like-minded people who want to also learn in this environment. And you just don't know. He may have other things planned as well to help foster that feeling of being in school, but it's a new initiative, so we don't know what the first class is going to look like, and we also have to give him a chance to evolve and grow the program into that more college or university type feel. Also, let's think about strategic timing once again. This launch coincides with Kai's increasing visibility in the entertainment industry, including high-profile events like the Met Gala after party. He was one of the attendees, which I failed to mention, sorry, but we are really seeing a shift in how celebrity will look in coming years. No longer is it the traditional movie star who are the celebrities that people talk about. People like content creators, people who are YouTube stars, etc., are now entering the Hollywood space in ways that we have never seen before. And people like Kai have a built-in audience already, which makes it a bit easier for production studios who are looking to sell a movie or a show. When you can tap into someone's already built-in audience, you really do save, to be honest with you, a lot of money that could be associated with promoting that product by having a recognizable face or a figure tagged to that product or project, instead of hiring a newcomer that people may not know and need to get to know, which will be things like press runs. I'm sorry, what are they called? Media runs, media circuits, etc. But when you have someone who already has a built-in audience, all they have to do essentially is leverage that audience by turning on their phone, telling them what's happening, and then keeping that consistently to promote the actual project or product that's coming out. And then finally, let's think about that community impact. By offering the program, Kai is not only enhancing his personal brand, but also is contributing to the growth and diversification of the content creation community. And to wrap it up with a big bow, we are aware, those of us who are in the content creator space, that not all content creators are equal. It is sometimes glaring how brands are selective of who they choose for these campaigns. And a lot of times micro creators, diverse creators, inclusive creators are sometimes not included in that conversation when they have a chance to compete at the level of creators who are white. Let's just be honest. And it's unfortunate, but in order to level the playing field, we have to build programs that give people a chance to compete, that give them the tools that they need to be successful. And what Kai is doing here is going to help, in his own way, level that playing field and allow for more people to enter the space with the strategies that they need to be successful and that business knowledge, because that business part is a piece de renaissance that's often missing when it comes to the conversation about content creation and inclusive and people of color communities. In our last story, and I know we were having a good time, but we're coming close to our time for the pod, so I want to keep that in mind. I know you're all are busy, so yeah. Let's get into this last story about Lyft and how they are empowering seniors with their Silver Initiative. So I got this article from Travel Post. And Travel Post, in the excerpt from the article, They state that Lyft is taking a meaningful step towards helping older adults stay mobile and connected with the launch of Lyft Silver, a new feature rolling out nationwide with early access starting as early as May 5th. Tailored specifically to meet the needs of aging riders, the new service simplifies the ride-hailing experience and offers added peace of mind for both riders and their loved one. The program was developed in consultation with experts in aging to ensure it meets the needs of the older adults and those who are supporting them. Lyft is also collaborating with community-based organizations, including the Urban League, Self-Help for the Elderly, NOAA, to offer early access and discount riders for qualifying seniors. So let's get into those marketing takeaways. First up, targeting the senior initiative. By Lyft introducing Lyft Silver, the service designated specifically for older adults, they're aiming to make their rideshare more accessible and user-friendly for this demographic. Also, we are very cognizant of the fact that people are living longer, right? And in living longer, people still want to maintain their independence. And things like technology, because it's always evolving, always changing, can be challenging for those who, as they get older. Because all the apps, all the updates, all the things, all these new interfaces, it can become a lot, and it can become frustrating if you just learn how to use one system and now they change it to something else, right? But making this targeted specifically for seniors, Lyft is making sure that they're being mindful that people want to make sure that they can still hold on to their independence as they get older. Then moving into our second marketing takeaway, which was discussed a bit more in the first, simplify user experience. The app features larger text, a streamlined interface with only 2 main buttons, Ride Now and Schedule Later, and a prominent Get Help button for live support. Again, very important to have that user interface very adaptable for that user experience. This is where UX or design comes into play. So UX is essentially the way a designer creates like the interface for an app, right? And essentially it's a person who has experience in like tech and marketing, in which they work with the team to make sure that the interface for whatever app is created, it works, it's user friendly, it's a lot of testing, it's smooth, all the good stuff. And by having that UX design specifically targeted to seniors with the bigger buttons means that they actually listen to the people that they partner with to make sure that it meets the need for the customers and the community that they serve. Then let's talk about enhanced accessibility. So Lyft Silver prioritizes matching older riders with vehicles that are easier to enter and exit, addressing common mobility challenges. Accessibility is something that, as someone who's in her 30s, I'm more mindful of that as I get older. Because I think about things like, my mom, my aunts, the other adults in my life, and being mindful that even though they're very sprite people, little things like how they enter and exit a car, it can have impact on their joints, their back, their comfort, etc. So Lyft is very, very smart by making sure that they have cars that are easy for people to enter and exit on their own. Then another takeaway is live customer support. The service offers US-based customer support from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, providing assistance to riders who may need help navigating the app or arranging rides. Again, this generation is living longer. They want to maintain their independence. But also, we have to be mindful that this generation is used to talking to a person. Our generation, millennials and younger, we're used to technology. We're used to talking to an app to resolve our issues. I still like talking to a person. I will yell representative until the thing gets frustrated with me and it gives me an actual person, but that's just me. But for Lyft Silver and their target customer base, they recognize that they want to talk to a person to help resolve their issue or their claim. So instead of pointing them directly to an AI chatbot or a robot, they're going to give them a chance to have that real interperson connection, which is very important for maintaining customer retention with the app. And finally, in our last 2 takeaways, we could talk about the family and caregiver integration. Riders can share their ride details with trusted contacts, allowing family members and caregivers to stay informed about the rider's whereabouts and status. And as someone who is an only child on my mom's side, My mom is very Sprite. She's a fun and a good time if you've ever seen her on my TikTok. However, I do get concerned when she takes things like Lyft and rideshare by herself. Not saying she doesn't know how to use the app, but it's just nice to know that your family members, the ones that you love very much, are being kept safe while they're using these rideshare platforms that you're used to, but may not be in the day-to-day of your loved ones. So being able to see where they are and share your whereabouts, or the family members share their whereabouts with their family or caregivers, is a very important feature to have. Then, in the last takeaway, strategic market expansion. Lyft Silver, which launched May 5th in select cities that includes Washington, D.C., aim to increase adoption amongst older adults who currently make up a small percentage of Lyft's user base. Washington, D.C. has a very active community, but we're also very spread out. So we have D.C. proper, but the DMV itself is very broad. So you have D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. Now, we're not going to get into the demographics with that because that could take all day long and we're already running short on time. But considering how widespread we are, even though we do have Metro, this Lyft program needs to be able to be offered in multiple parts of the city because people cross those boundary lines between DC, Maryland, Virginia on a daily basis. So testing in DC makes a lot of sense. I also would have suggested perhaps testing it in like the tri-state area, maybe like a New York, New Jersey, Philly kind of thing, because those are also very close to each other. But they probably did a smaller market that was still considered a major city area, the DMV, to test it out to see if it will be successful and to do feedback before launching in a broader tri-state area or state. Now, getting to the last part of this marketing segment, Uber did launch something similar ahead of Lyft. So Uber, who is a direct competitor of Lyft, was the first to announce a new strategy targeting this market. And we're not going to go too into it, so I'm just going to read a key excerpt from the article. So this article came from CNET, but Uber on Thursday launched a more streamlined version of its smartphone app to better appeal to senior riders. The updated version features a handful of design changes that cater to older users, including large text, similar to Lyft, an easier way to find frequently visited destinations like the grocery store or doctor's office, and fewer home screen options. Focusing on what both campaigns got right. Both campaigns did this right. They targeted services for niche audiences, they had user-centric innovation, they're building trust through family connections, and they're also leveraging partnerships. And what I love is the fact is that Uber and Lyft recognize the need to diversify their portfolio or their offerings while still keeping true to the core practice of their business, which is being a rideshare app. So I'll be interested to see who gets it right the most. They're both big companies that have been competing each other for years. I have my direct preference of who I prefer as a rideshare app, and my preference of who I think have gotten it right in recent years. But let's see how they handle this and to see if other rideshare apps will also follow, or even more traditional services will think about things like having specialized senior initiatives for their platforms. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed today's chat. Don't forget to follow Coffee with Yvonne on Instagram and Threads at Coffee with Yvonne. You can sign up for my newsletter to get personalized audio and video content by visiting the show notes. And also I do things like marketing magic breakdowns that you don't get from the pod or my social media in the newsletter. It's a short read, I promise. For my personal account, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok, aka the Clock app, at Yvonne_creative marketer. And to learn more about me and my business, go ahead and visit pinkdollhousemarketing.com to learn more. Or you can find me on Instagram. You can slide into my DMs. That's cool. And remember, creatives, I want you always to keep creating, to know that your voice matters, and to keep showing up. I'll see you next time on Coffee with Yvonne. Okay, bye! Coffee with Yvonne is produced and edited by Yvonne Pearson. Coffee with Yvonne is created by Pink Dollhouse Marketing. You can catch the latest episodes by subscribing to Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.